How we doing? So just figured we'd go live on YouTube. We can finally go live vertically on YouTube. So we're gonna be tasting through a bunch of different tequilas from the same distillery. I don't know if anyone's in here, but keep waiting. I've got some really cool stuff for us today. I'm currently playing with some dry ice, which I don't know who would give me dry ice. I feel like that's a bad idea on their part. But we've got a couple of different brands, all from the same distillery, and so I figured we'd be able to taste through them and kind of compare and contrast the different distilleries. So I'm gonna just angle that so you guys can see me a little bit better. And in the meantime, if you guys want to throw some questions up in there, I don't know if I can see questions. Oh, Abel V, how's it going? It's going pretty well. It's been a busy day today, but it's been good. Haven't gone live in a little bit on either TikTok or YouTube, and figured let's go live. Let's taste through some tequilas. What I have for us today is we're going to be tasting through 5 different expressions that are made at NOM 1414, which is these 5 right in front of me right now. And then I actually have a couple of other interesting things that I want to do as well. Obviously, we have some cool dry ice. Probably not a really good idea to just be playing with that, but whatever. And then we also have a very fascinating tequila brand that was aged in Amburana wood, which is a wood very typical to Brazil. So we'll taste this and talk about it after. So I actually have a video that will be coming out soon where I compared and contrasted different brands made at the same distillery but at a different distillery. And so I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, like what if we did from the same distillery, and I have 5 of them from 1414 right here. Sorry, that didn't make any sense. Basically, I did this with another distillery's expressions and thought it'd be kind of cool to do it with 1414 because I've been enjoying the stuff that they make. So I want to start off with the newest one that I got in recently, which would be Lost Lore. I just need to find my tasting glass. Give me a second. I don't know where I put them. Oh, here we go. I'm just going to try to put this right kind of off camera. Just trying to go through some of these questions. Sorry, it's really tiny font. Peter Acosta, I've never tried any of those. Well, they are pretty good. They are very good. I do enjoy what they're doing. How you guys doing on TikTok? It's been a while since I've been live here. There's quite a lot of you here joining us. Throw some questions in the comments while we're at it, and I'll take time periodically to just stop and try to answer your questions if they will come up for me. It just keeps telling people that people keep joining. But we are tasting through quite a few different tequilas. I'm going to add some more dry ice to my thingy here. I think that's really fun. It's very dangerous. Don't do this at home. I just got something shipped to me that had dry ice, and so I've been really enjoying it. But you guys are here to watch me talk about tequila, not watch me almost kill myself with dry ice. So let's live free or die. Fortaleza Reposado is impossible to get in New York City. Buddy, I have some news for you. It's not just impossible to get in New York City. It's impossible to get in a lot of places. So first up, we're going to be tasting through Lost Lore. I actually personally really like Lost Lore's branding. I think that they did a pretty good job of the branding on the bottle. I think it's a very, very pretty bottle. I like the horse's ass on the front. And then I think that the wording, the font, the typography really looks really nice. But this isn't a branding channel now, is it? I'm like worried this might spill over and cause problems. And so that's really good. That's nice. It's bright. It's clean. It tastes pretty reminiscent of other stuff from 1414, to be honest with you. I find it's very minerally, it's vegetal, it's got some nice citrus elements to it, and just very clean. Really tasty. Now, I do want to compare it to the Siembra Azul, which full disclosure, I think that Siembra Valles and Siembra Azul make some of the best looking bottles and labels in the game. I think that the art is absolutely exquisite, and each bottle is a little bit different. And that goes to show that the bottle is actually very good as well, but the branding is really cool. And I appreciate that as someone who used to have a marketing company and someone who does all of the marketing for my own brands at this point in time as well. Is that tequila as good as the Rocks tequila? Almost everything I show on this channel will be better than the Rocks tequila, unless I'm showing something that is bad. And even then, it might still be just as bad as the Rocks tequila. So let's taste the Siembra Azul and kind of compare it. Let's see here. What is that? Oh, I forgot. That's the... Oh, those are the comments. Okay, cool. Can I just... All right, cool. There we go. So, Milo Cerda says, what's a good tequila to use for mixing? That depends on your pocket, dude. There's a lot of really great budget options out there. I really like Cimarron, Arete, Tres Agaves, El Tequileño. All very good for the budget. But, I mean, shit, don't let me stop you. If you want to use higher, more expensive tequila to mix, go for it. I think that it's not wasted in a cocktail. If you're making a really good cocktail and you're using really good spirits, it's going to taste really good. Abel V from San Diego, Cali, and enjoy the open stream and accessibility of tequila. You're very welcome, friend. Happy that you're joining us. So let's taste the Siembra Azul. Oh, that's so weird. The dry ice looks so strange in the cup. That's weird. I feel like that thing's gonna blow up. Anyway. That's really tasty. I like that you get this almost like spice element to the Siembra Azul right up front. Like it's really flavorful. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that I have someone I need to meet in like an hour, so I'm just trying to double check on that. So sorry about that. Yeah, so the Siembra Azul has a lot of pepper. It's a lot pepperier, more peppery than the Lost Lore. They have similar aromas, but the Siembra Azul definitely has more of that pepper to it. Eric Miller, what are the price ranges of these tequilas you're showing? I believe that I got the Siembra Azul for about $50. I'll double check on it right now for you while we're open. So I think this bottle can go anywhere between like $55 and $75. And the Lost Lore, I'm trying to look it up. I don't see a price point on it. Let me just Google it real quick for you, because I'm going above and beyond for you guys. You could Google it yourselves, but you want me to do it, so I believe about like $50 on this bottle too, so not super expensive. David Mario El Manje asks, is El Tesoro a good sipping tequila? I think he means El Tesoro, and yes, El Tesoro is an incredible sipping tequila. It's one of my favorite tequilas, point blank, just like period, done. No share is for personal consumption. I think no share tequilas start at about 100. So what do you mean by no share? Because I hate that concept of trying to hoard, like spirits. Like they're meant to be shared. They're meant to be like, hey, let's crack open a bottle and talk and joke about it and joke about life and talk about things. Like I'm not someone who's gonna agree with you, Abel V, about non-sharing tequilas. I think I'm gonna tell you guys a story, and you're gonna laugh at me. This bottle of the Fortaleza Winter Blend 2023, it's going on the secondhand market from, I've heard from folks, anywhere between $700 and $800. I've been serving it at my restaurant. It's nearly empty. If you could guess how much I've sold out of this bottle, what would you guess? I'll give you guys a minute while I get rid of my dry ice. No one said anything? I have actually not sold a single drop out of this bottle. Every single sip that I've poured out of this has been for folks who enjoy it. Keith Walker says $0, you let people try it for free. You're damn right I do. Because as I've spoken with Guillermo, who is the owner of the brand, tequila is meant to be shared and sipped on and enjoyed. It's not meant to be hoarded like it's some like untouchable thing. So I believe that it's much, no one's ever going to see this bottle, right? You guys always complain in the comments talking about like, oh, like this bottle, you always promote it, but like I can't find it anywhere. Yeah, I get that. And I understand that I'm relatively lucky to be one of the few people who have access to a bottle like this. And so in my opinion, if people make all the trek all the way to my bar and restaurant, the least I can do is share with them something that they might not be able to see anywhere else. And so I hate to call you out, Abervia, on the comments, because I think you have, there's something to what you're saying, but I think that it's important that I put this out there because it's meant to be shared. It's meant to be enjoyed. So that's my thoughts on it, you know? Paul Bellinardo says, still haven't cracked my 2023 Fortaleza Winter Blend. Buddy, get on it. It's really good stuff. All right. Where is your bar? So, my bar is in a city called Marlborough, Massachusetts. And I do have a question for you guys watching. I think it's a good segue. I am actually working on a video. I've owned my bar now for 5 years. We're hitting 5 years now in 2024. I have a video that I'm working on. It's kind of a longer one. It's very personal. It's one that I have not really wanted to make because it just brings about a lot of traumatic thoughts and realities. But I've decided to make it. And so my question is, do you guys want to see and learn more about what it has been like to own a bar for the last 5 years? Let me know in the comments if that's something that you're interested in, because I really want to tell this story, but I don't know if people are going to enjoy it. It's kind of a crazy one. We bought, just to give you guys an idea, we bought this restaurant 6 months before the global panoramic started. And even worse, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. So like owning a restaurant, like Chandler in the comments is saying, it can be tough, especially a bar and restaurant. You're right. It's even harder when the world shuts down, you know? So let me know if you guys would be interested in that. Let me know what you'd want me to cover as well. Put that down in the comments. Wow, I just realized I look like a homeless person with my hair like this. I have a meeting in like about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to be live for like another 45 minutes. I have a meeting with someone that is really interesting in the tequila space. And I'll tell you guys later in the live if you stick around right before I shut it off. Do you have tequila? I'm very concerned. I'm confused about what you mean by that, Timmy. Do you really think that I would make this many videos about tequila and I wouldn't serve it at my own bar and restaurant? It's a little concerning. Do the gritty? Dude, I'm not that young, nor am I that cool. If I tried doing that, y'all are gonna laugh at me. I don't even know what I would be doing, so I'm not going to. Sorry. Your hair looks good. Thank you. That's really nice. Is there a difference between high proof and still strength? I believe that still strength is an actual classification, and high proof is just high proof. It's just a description. Man, YouTube really has to make these comments larger. I can't see anything. Please hit the gritty. I'm not. Dude, I'm not that cool. Are you trans? No. Opinions on Hit Cuatro. Hit Cuatro is awesome. I may have missed it, but what is the name of your bar? The name of my bar is La Barretas Brazilian Barbecue and Bar. You can find it in the link of my bio. It means flame in Portuguese. Do you have any more footage of the fancy El Tesoro event you attended? I unfortunately don't. I only recorded it in horizontal. Best way to start learning bartending. A lot of people ask me that, and it's like, they're like, oh, should I go to school or should I go to class for that? Do not spend money on learning how to bartend. There's a lot of, and what I mean by that is like classes and stuff. There's a lot of really great resources out there, a lot of really great books that you can buy. I actually have an entire 45-minute video on my YouTube channel that it kind of covers most of the training that I give my bartenders when I hire them for my bar. I would recommend watching that. It's 45 minutes, so it's a bit long. It's broken up into chapters. It's a little bit older. It's been a while since I made them, but I have all that information out for free. Other creators have that stuff out there for free. You can follow people like The Educated Barfly. You can follow Steve the Bartender on YouTube. There's a lot of guys on like TikTok and IG that Lambert Ben. I'm not going to repeat that out loud, but you're really fun. You must be really fun at parties. People must really like you. Someone asks. So yeah. Anyway, the question is how to learn bartending. I would just watch good creators. Follow me. I post cool stuff. If not, there's really good books as well that I'll pull in a little bit. But I want to get back to tasting these tequilas and kind of comparing them. So we have. Do you ever drink canned cocktails? Absolutely not. I have access to making cocktails at my bar and restaurant. I think canned cocktails are awful. Carlos Lopez, greetings from Guadalajara, around 35 miles away from Tequila, the actual town. Arete en Cuatro, great recommendations. You're very welcome, friend. And thank you for watching. All right, so have you tried Pantalones Tequila? I actually just finished recording my review on it about 20 minutes ago, and it'll be going up in the next several weeks on YouTube first. Cool, so let's talk about La Casa. It's another brand from 1414. And I'm going to be transparent on this because I don't want you guys to think anything bad about me, but I did do some promotional work with them. They are not paying me for this. That was last year. It's been a while. And I did work with them. I helped make some content with them. But just wanted to clear the air in case you guys start yelling at me about that. So, La Casa is a brand that launched last year as well. I haven't talked about anything that launched last year. I was just thinking about Pantalones. But it is also from 1414. And the reason I'm tasting the Blancos of what I have is to kind of be able to compare them. What's your opinion on Lalo? I think Lalo's great. David Mario Amanje. I'm at Bevmo right now. Is Tres Agaves Reposado good for sipping? I'd say so, especially for the price. What do you think of Cierto? I have a whole video on Cierto that I've posted recently. Why are most tequilas 80 proof, but bourbons are much higher? I could be wrong, but the reason about that I believe is that in Mexico, most tequila is actually distilled and it's bottled at about 30 to 35% ABV. But America has a law that for something to be considered a spirit and not like a liqueur or something, it has to be at least 40% ABV. In the US, we have a much bigger propensity to make higher proof things. But the more traditional way for tequila is actually less than 40%, but America has that law. So a lot of tequila brands will then bring it up to 40% to then be able to export. Thank you for the last video explaining still strength tequilas. You're very welcome. What's a good price to pay for Fortaleza? I pay the best price, which is like $45, $50. You're not going to find it for that price, but that's what it should be priced at. What about Dos Primos? Any additives? I have a whole video about that. And the Alex asking about Flecha Azul, no bueno. I would say no. I also have a video on that. Christian Lopez asked, do you have a single barrel tequila? I don't. And I don't know if I would want one. I respect folks who do. I actually have a bottle of... This one is from Jay Bear. He has a single barrel pick from Primo, which is made at El Pandillo, one of my favorite distilleries. And while I like the idea of doing it, I don't really want to do that. It's not really something that, and I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone. I think people should do that. I think there's some really great creators who are getting involved in this space. I think it's a really great way to showcase different brands to people. I'm just not interested in doing a single barrel for myself. That's not why I got into this. And I want to share what I know. I want to talk about what I know, but I'm not really interested in making a single barrel. At least not in the conventional way. I have an idea of one thing that I might want to do, but it would be a much larger project, and I would need to find a really great partner for it, and it wouldn't have my name on it anywhere. That's not what I want. Cool. So back to talking about La Casa. I do like their branding. I think it's pretty nice, pretty sleek. Not as nice as either of these two, personally, but it's pretty good. I will say, I think it kind of falls flat in comparison to both of these. I will say that Las Lore and Siembra Azul are probably two of my favorite things that I've had from 1414. I think the La Casa, it's a great serviceable Blanco. You could make really great, drinks with this, really great margaritas, stuff along those lines. I think it's a good serviceable Blanco, additive-free, good stuff. But I think that Siembra Azul has a lot more flavor to it, and Las Lore does as well. I think the spice in the Siembra Azul is really, really tasty. I really like that. And then the Las Lore has more of that citrus element that I really enjoy. Sorry, I'm just trying to read. Hello, what is in the bottle? It's tequila. It is tequila. So yeah, I think La Casa is good, serviceable. I actually really enjoy their añejo expression. I don't love I think the Blanco's good. I just don't, it's not my favorite. Do you like Siete Leguas? I love Siete Leguas. Love your videos, keep grinding. I now hunt for those tequilas you suggest and give me something to spend money on things I shouldn't. I apologize. I'm sorry. Got here late. What is 1414? 1414 is the distillery that these three brands, along with these two other brands, are made at. It's they have a lot. It's a distillery that's making a lot of different expressions, and a lot of it is very good. A lot of it is additive. Almost all of it's additive free. A lot of it is really tasty and different. And I just think it's fascinating that you have a distillery that's making a lot of really great things across the board. What about Suerta versus Cimarron? I think Cimarron edges it for me because I think Cimarron is a better, it's a better value for money because it's much cheaper. Is this pre-recorded? Are you silly? No, it says live. So in between Suerte and Cimarron, I would actually choose Cimarron to Clinton's question. Someone asked me, J Car Q Works asked, dumb question, what does tequila taste like before fermentation? So it's not a dumb question. It's just hard to answer because it tastes like agave. Agave has a very particular flavor to it, and it's hard to really describe it if you haven't tried it. I only tried it myself personally for the first time when I was in Mexico a couple of weeks ago. Is Mi Genta one of your favorites? In that price point, I would say that Mi Genta is one of my favorites, yes. Peter Acosta, I'd like to request more videos on Sotol and maybe add in Bacanora and Raicilla. I've actually made videos on all of those in the past on my YouTube channel. If tequila is supposed to be much lower proof, what do you think about adding water or ice to your tequila when drinking it? I think that tequila is not like bourbon. You do not need to add water to it to like open it up. And they've actually had scientific studies done about the ideal temperature to drink tequila at, and it's actually at room temperature. That's when you're going to get the most flavor from the product. If you add ice and chill it, you're actually muting the flavors. What do you think about Herradura Legend? I think all of Herradura stuff is garbage, to be perfectly honest with you. Best tequila for under $30 or under. I would say it's probably, I have 4 options for you. I like El Tequileño, I like Tres Agaves, Cimarron, and Arete. Cimarron is actually my well tequila, but I do have a bottle of Arete over here as well. Peter Kelvin says, nice. I have G4 Volans, Primo, Teralta, and Arte Gnome 1579 in front of me. Good for you, man. That's crazy. That's awesome. Cazadores. I've heard it's garbage. I haven't had it in a while. I do not love it. It's pretty bad. Cool. Anyway, moving along. Moving these out of the way. let's talk about Siempre. Now, I don't love this one, and I actually feel bad because the brand reached out to me after I made a video about it. I think that it's decent. It's not my favorite thing that's come out of 1414. Running out of tasting glasses. But I do have a very soft spot for their Siempre Vivo, which is their still strength. Absolutely outstanding. One of my favorite bottles in my collection. It is up there. I'm not going to pull it down because I don't want to. It's kind of, I don't want to climb. But we'll taste the Siempre Plata. I think it's good. It's got a bit of a harsh flavor to it. So like it'd be good in a cocktail, but even so, I'm not the biggest fan. I think it's just lacking a little bit in that flavor. I think the other brands from that distillery are very tasty. And theirs is just all right. It's like a nice C+, you know? And then the last brand from 1414 is Yayo. It's got a very unique branding to it. It's like, it doesn't really look like other tequila. It actually reminds me of a cologne bottle, if that makes any sense. Which is not the greatest thing. But in terms of what's in the bottle, it's actually very tasty. I have gone through all of my tasting glasses, and this is my last one. At least that I have out here. I have some in the office, but I'm not going to go get that. Now that's tasty. That's got a really good vegetal flavor to it, like a nice spice element too. It's really good. I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot. I'm out in front if you need a glass washer. Dave, what are you doing here? If you really are out in front, are you coming in? Are you hanging out with me with the meeting later with Derek? I really hope so, because I missed your face. All right, now we have. Are you sure you're gonna make it to the meeting? I sure hope so. I promise I will. So we have this brand. I just got it recently after I was having a nice conversation with Chris, not just the bartender. Some of you guys probably follow him as well. We were just chatting while we were in Mexico about different barrels and woods used to age tequila. And so I was just talking about how there are some bourbon brands that are now using Amburana wood, which is a wood from Brazil, to age some bourbons. I think there's a couple of expressions from Penelope, and they are doing some Amburana aged bourbon and whiskey as well. And we basically got talking about how I think it's really cool that there are so many different kinds of wood that can be used to age a spirit. Dave says Lucky 7 bourbon as well. See, another one that uses Amburana. So Amburana is a wood that is normally used to age cachaça. So I have here this Novo Fogo Colibri. There's also an Avoa Amburana that I have up there. And cachaça is Brazil's national spirit. It is basically a sugarcane, freshly pressed sugarcane rum. And you can age cachaça in 28 different kinds of wood from Brazil. A lot of them are endangered. A lot of them are near extinction. But Amburana has a really nice perceived sweetness to it when you age things in it. And I've always thought to myself, it'd be really cool if other brands and other spirits started using Amburana to age their spirits. And then I had a bit of a lesson from someone in the cachaça industry about this, that Amburana is a endangered wood. So there is a lot of hesitation, and there should be a lot of hesitation about using it in aging of other spirits, because it could create a kind of like rush for people to get and cut down Amburana trees just to make barrels to then age spirits in, which stinks because there's so much deforestation that's happened in Brazil already. The Atlantic rainforest is down to almost 10% of its original size in the southeast part of Brazil. The Amazon has been deforested like crazy. So you've got so many different things that are bad for the industry about that. But that being said, Amburana makes really tasty stuff. So I want to taste through this Paladar Amburana. And if I'm not mistaken, it was an Amburana cask that came from Avoa. Davey Francis says Novo Fogo's commitment to waste reduction is wild, dude. You got to see it. I have a couple videos about it on my channel. I went down there last year, and I actually have another video coming out about when I was down there. They are really not joking around with their climate sustainability. It's really awesome to see. And so anyway, they don't just have zero waste; they are carbon negative, which is really great. I'm just gonna wipe up the mess I made when I was playing with dry ice. All right, I'm out of tasting glasses, so I'm gonna have to figure something out. What are your thoughts on Rosado? I've tried Código Rosado recently and actually kind of liked it. So Código in general, they are additive free. I think they just sold to another brand, but they are additive free. I like that brands are experimenting with aging tequila in wine casks. I have a bottle of Cascanes' Rosa Blanco, which I love, and I didn't get my hands on a Reposado because I know it sold out in like a minute. So I think that I like that there are brands who are exploring with it. There are other ones. There's oh my gosh, it's another one made at the same distillery as Cascanes. It's Inspiro. Inspiro has a tequila aged in wine casks as well, and it's like a rosé kind of thing. Oh, and Montagave. How could I forget? Peter Kelgin said Montagave is a good wine. Montagave is probably one of my favorites. Outside of the Cascanes, I think they do a really killer job with the one that they made. But the Montagave is really, really good. Hating on Fortaleza is becoming more common with tequila connoisseurs, is what you're saying. So, yeah, it is, because people get mad that they can't get their hands on it, and then they create this boogeyman in their own minds and in people's minds, being like, oh, it's not as good as what people are saying it is. It's like, you're just mad that you haven't gotten any. And it's not this people are expecting, I think that there's so much hype around it, and the expectation is that it's going to be the most magical thing on the planet. Like, it's probably within the top 3 of my favorite tequilas ever made right now, but it doesn't mean that it's not really good just because people like it. Like, if you want to be a contrarian, fine, but it's not. It's really great. What is a recommendation for tequila under $40 that can be sipped neat or mixed as a margarita or plum? I will get to that later. So this is Paladar's tequila aged in Amburana. If I'm not mistaken, this is made at the same distillery as Arete, which is one of my favorite budget options. $23 for a liter. Excellent tequila. And I'm going to sip this. But then we're also going to compare it with this. So for those of you just joining us, this is a tequila aged in Amburana wood, which is a wood from Brazil. And this is a cachaça aged in Amburana wood from Brazil. I mean, it was made in Brazil, so. Just trying to catch up on some questions here. There's some people talking about some weird stuff in the YouTube comments, but I'm just going to ignore you guys. Sorry. So, on the nose, it's got like a nutty characteristic to it, which I find fascinating. And it's actually very common I've drank a lot of this. But thoughts on Le Blanc versus Novo Fogo? I will get to that in a second. But on the nose, this Paladar is very nutty. It's a little bit like you have a nice perceived sweetness to it and some spice as well. Man, that's really cool. That's really nice. What I love is that it starts off very similar to like an Amburana aged cachaça, but right at the back end, you get that unmistakable tequila flavor that hits you, like that agave is present. And I've always said this, and I think people have always laughed at me. I've always said that tequila and cachaça have a lot in common. I think because of the terroir plays such a big role in both products. With tequila, the agave plant spends so long in the ground that it really just starts to get a lot of those characteristics from the earth and soil that it grows in. And I think that the sugarcane used in making cachaça has a similar thing going on. Obviously, it doesn't spend as much time in the ground as an agave plant does, but it's very fascinating how similar they can be with like that earthy, vegetal, kind of grassy flavor that you can kind of find in both. What is the price tag on that bottle? This bottle, I got it at a total line for like 70 something bucks. And then I'm actually just going to address this because people always ask me. I do buy a lot of these bottles on my own so that I can actually just share my opinion. And if I am sponsored, I will put sponsored in a post. But I do go out and buy my bottles myself rather than like asking brands for them. So I try to do it on my own so that I can actually be able to not have that compromise so I can share my opinion with you guys. But okay, so then let's compare it with the cachaça. Man, I love cachaça. People ask me like, what's your favorite spirit? It's cachaça, but no one cares, so I don't talk about it as much because I've made lots of videos about it, and I get crickets back from you guys. So I wish y'all cared more about cachaça, to be perfectly honest with you. I would spend so much time talking about it. But obviously, even just going through all these comments on the chats, you can tell that no one cares. They just want me to be basically their version of Google. People just come at me like, what's the best thing for this price? And what's the best one for this price? And it's like, man, it's hard to answer. It's hard to answer because the truth is, like, there's no such thing as best. It's all about your personal preference. Like, I try my best, but I'm not Google. You know, it's like, oh, where can I find this in this state? Like, I don't know. I'm not in your state. I had someone DM me the other day, where can I get this specific bottle in this region of Ohio? And I'm like, do I look like a fortune teller? Do you see a crystal ball somewhere where I'm just like, ooh, let me see where we can find. Like, I don't know. Anyway, Cachaça Dave. I've been fighting the good cachaça fight for 20 years. Yes, you have, my friend, and I've learned so much from you, and I appreciate your tutelage and help throughout everything. Cachaça is so hard to find good ones. I've only seen Leblon and Novo Fogo. Those are both great, so I don't know what you mean about, like, they're both very good. You can find good cachaça here. I will say, there's maybe like, if you look at it this way, there's like 3,000 tequila brands currently listed on the Tequila Matchmaker app, and a lot of those make their way to the States. So there's thousands of brands in the United States. With cachaça, there I think are only about 10 brands that are present in the US, unfortunately. And so there isn't as much variety because of Brazil's crazy import and export taxes and laws and things like that. But I'm going to blow you guys' mind if you don't know this. Cachaça is one of the most consumed spirits on the planet. And it's also one of the most produced spirits on the planet. But almost all of that consumption happens in Brazil. Just goes to show you that my people really like to drink. But anyway, when you're comparing these two, right, they're both aged in the same type of wood, obviously different barrels because it's a... Oh, I just got a super chat. Just going to answer this one. Isn't cachaça just an agricole? No. And I'm answering that as a Brazilian, not as someone who with logic. I'll get back to you in a second. Skew Beesnack says, love your content. Have you ever had any good tequilas made with a diffuser? I have not, actually. And it's not really the way that I think tequila should be made. And there's lots of other people who have spoken deep about that topic. Now, I do think that a lot of people get two things confused. There's an autoclave, which is basically like a pressure cooker. And then there's a diffuser that uses sometimes like acids to kind of like extract sugar out of the agave. Those are two different things. Autoclaves or pressure cookers, that's like if you're cooking meat in a pressure cooker at your home. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just applying pressure to allow it to cook. A diffuser is a whole separate thing, and I think people really need to be careful about that separation. I've had great tequilas made with autoclaves. I've not had any good tequilas made with diffusers. But to your question over here about whether is cachaça just an agricole, it is not. Cachaça is one of the oldest produced spirits on the planet. It first started being made in the 1500s in Brazil. And agricole is similar because they're both made with raw, fresh pressed sugarcane juice. But there's a lot of... Oh, I'm going to pause because I really want to go in on this person. These TikTok tequila influencers are so damn snobby when it comes to tequila, so annoying. Well, Connor, I have a really great suggestion for you. You can leave. You don't need to leave your nice comment here so that everybody can pay attention to you. I know you're just a little pick-me boy who wanted someone to pay attention to you, and here I am giving you the attention that you crave. So you don't need to leave your comment, sir. If you think it's snobby, great. Move on. Swipe up. Go watch videos about monster trucks or something. That's what your brain can handle. But, anyway... what was I talking about? I got lost with monster trucks. I don't know. You need a moderator to block these foos. Maybe I do. I'll see if I can find one. Cachaça versus agricole. Thank you, Big Mike. Also, shout out to your name. That's an awesome name. Yes, basically they both have their own denomination of origin of how they can be made. And one of the examples I'm going to give you, because I'm not as well versed with agricole rum as I am with cachaça. Cachaça is the only spirit on the planet that can be made with over 28 different kinds of wood. So it can only be aged in 28 different kinds of wood, which each wood type will impart a different flavor profile. So right in front of me, I have an Amburana aged cachaça and an Amburana aged tequila. But on top of it, there's so many other woods that are native to Brazil that can be used for aging cachaça. For example, I'm not going to go too deep into it because I think it might be lost on some people, but this right here is a cachaça that was aged in zebra wood. And this color that you see, this deep red color, that is actually the natural color of once this comes out of a barrel. So the wood is what's imparting this red red color. Red is not a flavor. I'm sorry. Red color to it. And so each wood has its own flavor profile. Most of the spirits aged in the planet, they are usually aged in ex-bourbon barrels. And usually they are from oak, the oak tree. And it is... And right now there's a shortage of former bourbon barrels. And and it's kind of a funny thing, the way that the global spirits industry works. A lot of it starts here in the US because bourbon can only be aged in freshly charred new American oak barrels. So after they make a new barrel and they age their bourbon, they then can't use it again. And so they have these barrels that are perfectly good, perfectly great, super, flavorful. They then have to sell that to someone or give it to someone else so that they can then reuse it. But by bourbon law, you cannot reuse a barrel. And so a lot of these barrels go from the US that were, I know for a fact that Novo Fogo uses, if I'm not mistaken, Four Roses and Heaven Hill barrels. And Dragos, if you're watching this, I apologize if I'm wrong. I believe it's Four Roses and Heaven Hill. And I know that some of the folks down in Mexico also use former bourbon barrels. But it's tough because there's so many distilleries on the planet right now that they're all looking for former bourbon barrels to age their spirits in. So it's really cool that in Brazil you have other types of woods that can be used to age cachaça. So for example, you also have, so this one right here is aged in balsam wood, which in Portuguese is bálsamo. It's another type of wood. It imparts a whole other flavor. And what's really fun about that is that the flavor profiles change based on the wood used. So I've had a lot of fun making cocktails where, you might have a cachaça that is aged in balsam wood and you can use it in a cocktail, but if you try to sub in a Amburana aged cachaça, it wouldn't be the same. It would just be off in terms of flavor profile. So, you basically get to play with the different expressions and the different wood types in a cocktail, and they are vastly different. And I think that's beautiful and amazing. Nathaniel Mitchell, your content got me promoted from bartender to bar manager. Man, that's actually one of the nicest things I've read today, and that means so much to me, and I'm so happy that you shared that with me. That's awesome. I'm really proud of you, and I'm happy that I was able to do anything at all to help you on that path, because I really hope that you love this industry. I do personally. It's why I do what I do. And so to get to hear from you that I was able to help, even in a small way, on your journey to be a bar manager, I really hope that. So yeah, man, thank you so much, and cheers. If you need anything, send me a DM. Hopefully I'll be able to help you out. People ask me some questions, and I just I can't answer it because it's based on your livelihood. Someone's asking me, is a certain tequila reposado worth buying for $45? Like, though I'm not, I can't answer that. Like, that is, do I think Olmeca Altos is a decent tequila? It's fine. I think it's good. But what you want to spend on something is up to you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you have bills, I don't know what your pocket is like. Michael Shea, what state are you in? I am in a state of denial. No, I'm just kidding. I'm in Massachusetts. My bar and restaurant is in Massachusetts. I have a bar in a place called Marlboro. Trying to see if I've missed anybody's comments on YouTube. I think I covered them. Yes, the great state of Massachusetts. I personally would not live in any other state in America. That is the only one I would live in. Jamie, I'm a whiskey drinker and never drink tequila, but I want to start drinking tequila cocktails. If you like whiskey, I would recommend you make either a Oaxacan Old Fashioned or a tequila, an aged tequila Old Fashioned, like a Reposado or an Añejo Old Fashioned. Kalasroligid, I can't pronounce your name. Why only Massachusetts? I'm not going to get into it because I'm not going to talk about politics on either of these lives. I'm just not going to get into it. But I would literally only live in Massachusetts in America, and that's pretty much it. Neighbor here in Connecticut. Hey, Sandra, how you doing? Oh man, I'm so blind. What's the bottle next to Uruapan? It is actually, happy you asked. Let's talk about something really fun. I'm only going to be live for another 15 minutes because I have a meeting with some really awesome people, and I got to clean all this crap up. I have all my lights set up. So what do we got here? We have here something really important that we need to talk about, and that is charanda. Charanda is Mexican rum, and it can only be made in a specific region of Mexico, and it gets its name from the red clay soil that their sugarcane is grown in. What is your restaurant called? Because I live 15 minutes from Marlboro. Michael Shea, my restaurant is called La Baredas Brazilian Barbecue and Bar. If you go on my profile, you'll be able to find a link for it. And it would be my absolute honor to be able to host you at my bar and restaurant. And if I'm in, we can definitely sip some tequila and talk about different things if you come in. Ross Therault, I'm a beverage director here in Massachusetts. Would love to chat sometime. I have Mexican. You have Mexican what? Anyway, my bar and restaurant's here in Massachusetts. Come by. So, Peter Kelvin, I'm going to pull up next month. Dude, I hope so. I'd love to hang out. So, we have here charanda. Let's talk about charanda. Someone asked me about what the bottle next to the Uruapan was. It's actually from the same owners of Uruapan. It's a brand called Sol Tarasco. I believe their brand is, or the name of their company is Tarasco Spirits. And I recently found out that this brand, Tarasco Spirits, is the only brand exporting charanda. And if they stop exporting it, this incredible spirit and denomination of spirits will be basically gone, which is really, really messed up. So at one point, I was actually having a conversation with Lucas Assis recently about it. And he was telling me, because he's apparently really good friends with the lady who runs this, because his wife's family is from the region. And he's gotten to know her very well. They are one of the last producers of charanda. I believe there's only 2 other people making it other than them, but they're the only ones exporting it. And so this right here is a añejo rum that is infused with wild mushrooms. It is by far one of the coolest, funkiest spirits that I've ever had, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Hey Carl, how you doing, man? Long time no see. We should catch up soon. I actually meant to send you a message the other day, and thank you for putting together that video for Steve. I hope you're doing well. I haven't gotten a chance to check out your video on the milk washing of the cocktail yet, but it's on my watch later playlist. But Carl, hope you're doing well, man. Anyone planning to attend Bowl of Zoll Boston? Richard, I am a little occupied on the weekend, even though I did get an invite. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to make it, but I did get invited. Unfortunately, life is very busy at the moment, and yeah. So anyway, charanda, Mexican rum, can only be made in a specific region of Mexico, and this is one of the only producers of it that are exporting it. And it's really important that people talk about it more, because I think more people need to be drinking this. We were having a discussion recently, me, the educated barfly Leandro, and Lucas, about what the next spirit is going to be, right? Like the next it spirit, right? Because let's say for the last 10 years, it started off very bourbon focused. Everybody was all about bourbon. Like I worked at a bar called Bourbon's Kitchen and Cocktails. That's how everybody was obsessed with bourbon. Now we're in a period of time where everyone's obsessed with tequila. It's like the it spirit. And we were talking about how eventually this is probably going to die down. It's probably going to, what is it called? Like waves and crests, something like that. Like peaks and valleys. That's the word. Sorry, I wasn't born here. I don't know these expressions. Peaks and valleys. So you have, a lot of, eventually it's going to kind of change to another spirit. And a lot of people think that rum is next. And one of the reasons that is that I think that we were talking about is that it might be an easy sell for someone who really loves tequila to then get to talk and learn about another spirit from Mexico in the instance of, charanda, which is really cool. And I hope that's true, because I don't want to see this be gone, because if I can't get my hands on this bottle ever again, I'm going to be very upset. It is a really tasty rum that is infused with wild mushrooms, and it's very random and awesome. And I think that it's been pretty great. Carl, I have thought for 2 years now, rum or mezcal would be the next big thing. I think the thing that holds mezcal back is that there's not going to be mass adoption of it. I think that the flavor profile found in mezcal, in a lot of mezcal, is very abrasive for most people, and therefore I think that something is going to hold it back from reaching mass market. Whereas rum, I think there is nothing holding it back from having it reach mass market, because every country on the planet has a history of producing rum, basically. Like every region, at least. I don't want to say country, I think that's very specific. But I think every region of the world has produced rum at some point, and sugarcane. Like it was obviously like considered white gold before, the cocaine people got involved. It was very, very popular to make sugarcane and make sugar. Kraken gonna go crazy? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be spiced rum and very poorly made rum. I think it's going to be really good rum that will be the next thing. Yeah, so we got another 10 minutes here, friends. I'm going to be shameful in this, and I'm going to ask again. So I'm working on a video. I'm writing out the script right now. I'm trying to get it finalized on a video about the last 5 years of running a restaurant. For those of you who don't know, I make content kind of for fun. It's, not just for fun. Obviously, it brings a lot of attention to my restaurant. It allows me to be part of the space that I love, in this industry that I love, in a way that's just outside of just my bar and restaurant. But I've owned a bar and restaurant now for 5 years. We opened it about 6 months before the panorama started. And I've been kind of avoiding talking about it for a while, just because there's a lot of trauma built into that. And I've kind of blocked out all the bad parts about running a restaurant for the last 5 years, to be perfectly honest with you guys. But I'm realizing now that hitting this milestone, we haven't hit 5 years yet, we'll do so in August, but this milestone of being operational for 5 years, especially through one of the most turbulent times in the history of our industry, or at least the modern history of our industry, right? I've been really reflecting a lot on what it has meant for me and what we've gone through to get to this point. But what I'm trying to say is if I'm working on this video, but I really want to know if you guys are interested, because I'm going to pour my heart and soul into this video, and I don't want it to flop, because it seems like everyone's just super curious about tequila, and that's kind of it. And I want to share this story, and I want to do it justice, but it's probably going to not feel very good if people don't watch. So if you guys are interested in what it's like to own a restaurant, that's been like over the last 5 years, let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate that. Because if you could at least just write, yes, I would be interested in the comments, that would mean a lot to me, because that would give me a little bit more of a push to actually make this. Someone asked, why do I feel that rum is going to be the next big thing? Well, for a couple of different reasons. I think that now that we've gone from the bourbon boom to the tequila boom, I think that movement has been great, because I think it's shown a lot of people a lot of different sides of the of different spirits, right? Like, I think it's for people in the industry who've worked behind bars, like you kind of get it. But people who don't, and it's kind of like if you're like outside of this realm, outside of this world, I think that bourbon and tequila have been really great segues and entry points into the spirits world and the agricultural world behind these products, because a lot of times we forget that these are agricultural products. They are not just like, chemicals that are made in a lab. Like, you literally have to start with a raw ingredient, like either if it's sugarcane or agave or corn or wheat or whatever it is that you're making these spirits out of. They are literally made from something that grows out of the ground, right? So I'm going to take a pause here because someone just wrote something that I really need to address. King Rory 76 asked, do you think that buying bottles of Fortaleza and storing them away for future sales would be a good investment? Absolutely not. Liquor is not an investment. And if you think so, you're what's wrong with this entire industry about hoarding bottles. I hate that notion, and I will address this again because I talked about it earlier. This is a bottle of Fortaleza's Winter Blend 2023. This bottle on the secondhand market goes for about $600 to $800. This bottle is nearly empty. I have not sold a single drop of this. I've been giving it away to people so they can try it and taste it. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, look at me, I'm so cool. I'm telling you this because spirits are meant to be drank. They are not made so you can put them on a shelf and then drink it in 10 years' time or sell it in 10 years' time. This isn't a stock market. This isn't a thing. It's a real product that was made with a lot of love and care. If you want to go trade stocks, go trade stocks. Go spend your money on something else. I'm not going to advocate for people storing bottles and then selling them later. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I think that bourbon and tequila were really great entry points for people to understand like a little bit more about these spirits, right? And so the reason I think rum is next is because once you've understood a little bit about terroir and what it takes to make a spirit, I think that learning about rum is fascinating, because rum is made from either sugarcane or molasses. And the history of rum is basically the modern history of the world. Like, there's a good portion of like 400 years where rum was one of the most important things on the planet. The British Navy, and I know it's often talked about a lot, the British Navy used to pay their sailors in rum. Rum was the cause for a lot of the slave trade. There was, and sugarcane in general, I shouldn't say rum specifically, but sugar and sugarcane plantations and things along those lines. And so many countries and regions of the world make rum. And so I think that there's some really awesome expressions of rum being made today. And I think that out of all of the spirits, it is the next one that hasn't been tapped into. I just hope that whenever they do, if it ever does, because we obviously don't know, if it ever does become the next spirit, I just hope that people will learn about the history, about how insane the history of rum is, and sugarcane and the slave trade and all of that, because it's absolutely fascinating. But I do think that it's because it's made in so many different regions, there's so many tiny little differences. So for example, I'm going to pull out a couple of different rums from different regions, just as an example. So, well, I should probably move all this stuff out of the way first. But first, let's go back to what we were talking about with charanda and rum, right? So you have Mexican rum in the form of charanda, which is only made in Michoacan, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's only made there. It's made from a very specific part of Mexico. But then you also have, for example, rum made in Oaxaca, which is not considered charanda because it's not made in Michoacan. So it's a whole other area of Mexico, but it is producing its own rum. Now that's just in Mexico. So they have their own terroir and soil, and that's going to impart the final flavor because, again, this is an agricultural product. It is not made in a lab. It's literally made in the ground and turned into liquid. That's what it is. So you have those nuances of Rob was, I have a Claren. Give me a second. It's here somewhere. Oh, so here we go. We have Claren from Haiti. So this is its own thing. It's made from freshly pressed sugarcane juice as well. Super funky, very weird, very fun. I personally love it. So you have Claren from Haiti, and then you have rum from El Salvador, right? I have Jamaican rum that Hamilton makes. I have Jamaican rum from Smith and Cross, right? It's a little bit higher proof. You have Venezuelan rum. You have Solera rum. We can dive into cachaça, and each of these regions and countries make it a little bit differently and adds their own layer on top of this incredible spirit. And so, whereas it's going to sound like a slight, and I don't mean this in a bad way, there's only so much variation that you can get in a tequila, for example, right? So the distinction that I'm making here is that tequila is made only from the blue Weber agave. So it's only one species of agave. Which country do you think produces your favorite rum? If I consider cachaça rum, Brazil. If I don't consider cachaça rum, it depends on what I'm making. I really like Jamaican rum because I think it stands up beautifully in cocktails. I also really like Mexican rum at the moment. Charanda is one of the things that I'm probably currently obsessed with. I lost my train of thought. We were talking about something else. Shit. Sorry. I don't know what we're talking about, friends. Completely forgot it. I completely just got very sidetracked. Regions of rum. Yes. Okay. So, tequila is made from one very specific species of a plant. It is the blue Weber agave, right? If you look at agave as a whole, there are, I believe, like 30 different species of agave that can be used to make mezcal. And I think that there are a couple of different species of sugarcane that can be used to make rum. And so there, and it's not just so much within, the species itself, because I think there are some people trying to create agave products outside of Mexico. I think there's some in California and in Texas and in Arizona that are being made. I heard of some guy in Australia who, because the climate is very similar to Mexico, the Mexican desert, they are now trying to make some agave spirits out in Australia, which is very strange, very interesting. And so the terroir will impact that. So an agave species that, even if it's the same species, even if it's blue Weber agave and it grows in Australia, it will have a different flavor than one made in Jalisco or one made in any other region of Mexico that allows tequila production. And that is the same for sugarcane. So sugarcane in like cachaça in Brazil, right? So that's where I know most of my sugarcane based knowledge. Sugarcane grown in the south of Brazil versus sugarcane grown in the north of Brazil is vastly different because of the different climates, the different terroir, all of that impacts this final product because these are literally, again, agricultural products. They come from plants and things that are grown in the ground. And so all of that matters. And I know and we don't see that as consumers. We just look at fancy bottles and go, "Oh, I love this bottle. It's really good. It tastes really good every time." But the truth is, I was speaking to the master distiller at Novo Fogo last year, and we were talking about how they can keep, like, I was like, how do you guys keep it consistent year to year? And he goes, man, it is one of our biggest challenges because you want your spirit to taste relatively the same year after year. But the truth is, you're not dealing with like, how am I going to say this, right? Like, you're not, it's a living, breathing thing. Like, you can't just like, it's not going to taste the same every year. And it's the same for like wine, where every year you're going to have, you know, you might have a drought one year, and so the grapes grown that year might not be as good. So for example, if let's say you love a brand of wine, let's use Josh. It's the one all over social media at the moment. If you love Josh, this year, and maybe I'm wrong because I don't know what they do, but let's say it's an actual good wine. Not Josh. Jake. We're going to pretend there's a fake brand called Jake. And if you love this Jake brand of wine and you drink it every year, but then the next year you go and have it and you're like, ooh, that seems a little bit off. That it's probably natural because you can't guarantee that every year it tastes the same. So one of the things that Novo Fogo does is that, at least for some of their aged expressions, they kind of save like I think half of all that they produce in a year and mix it in with the next year's batch so that they can at least get consistency from year to year. So maybe that after 10 years, those two expressions won't taste the same, but every year upon year, it will taste similar. But my friends, I am at the end of my live for today. It's been fun. This has actually been one of the most engaging lives that I've ever done. We got into some really fun topics, and I hope to do this more often, but life is busy. I do run a restaurant, and so life is tough. If you guys want to see me go live again, make sure you're following along. Hit that follow button. And I have some really cool content coming out. Basically, I spent the entire month of January not putting out a lot of new content because I've been trying to prepare it in advance because I have quite a busy year this year. And so I basically spent a month back cataloging a bunch of content that's going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks. I haven't released a single video yet from my trip down in Mexico. I think I have like 4 full-length videos for YouTube coming out from that trip, which I'm super excited about because I had such a good time down there. And yeah, so follow along. I hope to be doing more lives. I really enjoyed this. I think going live is a really fun way to interact with you guys. But if I don't turn off now, Dave in the comments is going to freak out at me because he's waiting outside the door. And I got to clean up this bar to make it presentable so we can have our meeting. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and see you guys next time.